Hi, it's Simon here from Care Home Marketing Expert. One of the questions that we get asked most frequently is how do I create a marketing budget for my care home, and how can I make it relevant to the amount of empty beds that I've got and the number of beds that I need to fill regularly. So we've actually created a calculator tool which is going to show you exactly how to do that, and I'm going to go through it with you in a second, show you how to use it below. Before I do that, there are actually some key performance indicators that you really need to know in your care home. So the first one is pretty straightforward. Is it how many leads am I generating each month? The second one is how many of those leads, what percentage of those leads are going to be converted into show-arounds. So that's the number of people that come and have a look around the care home. And then the third one is of those people that come and have a look around the care home, what percentage turn into new residents. And the fourth performance indicator that you really need to keep a track of is what is the average length of stay of a resident in your care home, because that has a dramatic effect, as I'll show you in a second, on the amount of leads that you need to generate and therefore the amount of budget that you need to put into your care home. So let's have a look at the care home and occupancy budget calculator. So let me explain to you first of all what all these different fields are. On the left hand side here under care home information, we've got the basic information about your care home. So we want to know what the current occupancy is, total number of beds, the average weekly fee that you charge, and then again that average length of stay that we talked about just a second ago in the number of weeks. In this case it's 2 years, 104 weeks. On the right hand side we've got a results column. So we've got the lifetime value. And I'm going to show you this in a second, examples of this. So the lifetime value is how much on average a care home is worth to you as a business during the lifetime of their stay. Okay. Then we've got the number of beds to fill. We've got the additional revenue that will be generated once we get to 100% occupancy. We've got the leads that are needed to get full, and then the leads that need to stay full. And there's a big difference there. So what you need to appreciate is if you have an occupancy problem, you first have to get to full, and then you've also got to stay full. Okay, so in your first year, when you're trying to get to 100% occupancy and stay there, you're going to have to spend more money because you need to get more people in to get full and then stay full than you would do in subsequent years when you're actually merely having to replace the people that sadly passed away. So they're the two different figures that you've got there. The acquisition spend per resident is a fancy way of saying how much are you prepared to spend in order to acquire a resident. So in this case, looking at this, we know that our residents are worth £72,800 to the business. So how much of that am I prepared to put into my budget in order to be able to get that resident? The get full budget is the total amount that you would need to put aside or need to put into your budget in order to be able to get full in the first place. And then your stay full budget is the monthly marketing budget that you would have thereafter in order to keep full. And then the maximum cost per lead is basically the amount of leads that we need to get full divided by the get full budget. So that's the maximum that you can afford to spend per lead rather than per resident. So over on this side, we've also got some sliders for those conversion rates, and I'm going to show you how those work. But let's look at a practical example. So let's say we have a 50-bed care home. Let's say we have a 50-bed care home, so the total number of beds would be 50. But let's say we've only got 39 of those that are filled. Let's say our average weekly fee is going to be, let's say £950. And then this length of stay, I'll keep it at 2 years. But you can see at 2 years, based on these figures, the lifetime value of a client, lifetime value of a resident in your care home would be £98,800. So the reason that the length of stay is important is that if they only stayed for 1 year, then that lifetime value would be cut in half. So instead of 2 years, we're down to 1 year. So the lifetime value would be half of what it is. And the other side of that is that we would also need to generate twice as many leads to keep the care home full, because people are staying for a much shorter time. Okay, so like I said, we've now got the actual average lifetime value of a resident in our care home, and this is an accurate figure. We know how many beds that we need to fill. We also can see at a glance here that if we were to fill those 11 beds, based on that average lifetime value, that would actually add, if we were to get to 100% occupancy, that would add an additional £1 million, £1,086,800 per annum to the revenue of the care home. Another thing to which it's really important to grasp is that most of the profit that you make in a care home is in the last 20% of beds that you fill. So it's between 80% occupancy and 100% occupancy. And that's because the vast majority of your costs are fixed costs. So you have to cover them regardless of the number of residents that you have. And it's the additional amount for additional residents beyond 80% is only a tiny fraction of additional cost that you're adding. So therefore that remainder, all the money that you're generating here from that difference, that 11 beds, the vast majority of that is going to be profit. Okay, so then what we've done is we calculate, this tells you based on these figures here. In fact, I should perhaps show you what these figures do. So these sliders, this one shows the conversion rate between the amount of leads that you get and the amount of those that turn into a show around, who book a show around or who turn up and have a show around. So at the moment we've set that at 20%. So for every 100 leads that we get, 20 of those are actually booking a show around to come and have a look around the care home. Now this slider is the percentage of those people who do have a look around the care home who subsequently become a resident. And you'll see how important this is in a minute. So at the moment that's set at 50%. So if for every 10 people that come and look around the care home, 5 of those we know are going to turn into a resident. And this again is to have those figures accurate, really helps you in putting your budget together, but also in identifying any problem areas where the care home's not performing as well as it should do with those conversion rates. Okay, so based on those figures, with these show around rates and this leads to show around rate, we've calculated that we need to generate 110 leads in order to get full in the first place, and then we need to generate 15 leads per month in order to stay full. Okay? Now the acquisition spend per resident is basically how much of that 98,800 are we prepared to spend in order to attract a client. Now at the moment it's set at, that's this slider at the bottom here, and that's set at 10%. So if I wanted to only spend 5% and I drag that down to 5%, you can see that this is the budget per new resident, and it's gone down now from 10% to 5%, so that's down from 9,880 down to 4,940, and you can drag it to whatever percentage you want. If you wanted it to be 2%, that brings it down further to 1,976. And then that also changes the amount of budget that you need to set aside. So this is your get full budget. This is the amount of money that you need to put into your marketing budget to get full in the first place. And then your stay full budget is the amount that you would need to allocate per month once you're full, just to account for the attrition, the natural attrition that you have. And then this maximum cost per lead is basically the number of leads divided by the budget. So that's the maximum that we can afford to spend for per lead. So if we need 110 leads and we've got a budget of 21,736, that means we can afford to spend at least £198, or a maximum of £198 to generate a lead. Okay, so overall that then gives you key insights and exactly what budget you need to have. So in this case, like I said, your get full budget would be 21,736, and you need to allocate £3,000 roughly a month to stay full. Now, what you can also do with this, you can see what effect these different adjusting these different sliders has. So in this case, let's say that we were really good at showing around, and we're going to increase that to 75%. So 3/4 of the people that come around now are converting. You can see how that affects these figures. So now we need to generate less leads in order to get full and to stay full, and the budget goes down accordingly. And the same thing with your show around rate. If you're more successful, if your leads are converting better, so instead of every 100 leads we get 20 people who go for a show around, if we bump that up to 30 people, again we can see that has a dramatic effect on the amount of leads that we need to get full and the leads that we need to stay full, and so therefore that affects the budget. Okay, so hopefully you can see from that how to put a budget together for your care home. Simply fill these in here, drag these to what you believe your current rates are. It will then tell you all the different figures. It will tell you then basically how much additional revenue you're going to make and how much you make from each client. Then you've got to decide how much of that lifetime value per client you are willing to spend, and you do that by dragging this percentage across, and that affects the figures down at the bottom there. So what you can do is you can put your budget together based on what you feel your figures are, and then you can also then adjust them as you go along and get more accurate figures. But you can also work on these different performance ratios, these different KPIs, in order to be able to make your sales process, your marketing and sales process, more effective. And the more effective you make it, the less then that you have to spend per lead, basically. Okay, I hope you found that useful, and if you need any help with this, then please get in touch with us. This is what we do all day long, building marketing systems for care homes. But you can find the calculator at carehomemarketingcalculator.com, or if you go to the Care Home Marketing Expert website, you'll find it under the resources section there with a direct link to it. So I hope you found that useful, and good luck with putting your budget together. Thanks a lot. Bye.